Hello and welcome to the second episode of the battle reps for the Leeds Super Major that I took the Death Guard Champions in Contagion Detachment to. We got our pairings just after lunch on the Saturday, and it was a match against someone called Sam Royal. I knew that I recognised the name from somewhere, and obviously when I saw the team name of 6++, I knew why. 6++ are a content creation and competitive team. I've been on their Discord for a long time and interacted with their community in there. There's a really nice community that they've built. I've had a couple of games at events against them, as well as their sort of like online league that they run. So I know that I was going to be in for a good time. Even more so when I got to the table, Sam had already had a beer on the table. So once we got that matched up and we had a beer, we got deployed. And yeah, I'll run through the game. I've got a couple of videos again, and then the rest of it will be done via TTS for the key moments and anything. This one was a really close one. It did go down to the wire in battle round 5, but we had an excellent game. And yeah, and the other thing, which is just to say thank you for watching. If you are enjoying these battle reps and the other content on the channel, please do like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. If you have any ways that I could improve these, please do let me know. And yeah, I'll cut now to TTS and the videos and hope you enjoy. And here we are for the deployment for round 2, which is Purge the Foe. I always make the mistake at the start of Purge the Foe where I'll put an infiltrator down and think, oh yeah, no, that's a dumb idea, and actually put him in the back corner rather than giving my opponent a free 4 points. So yeah, the Potswalkers are all used sort of as a screen. We'll go through Sam's list in a minute, but there was a lot of there was a big deep strike threat, so I had to make sure that my backfield was screened, and Potswalkers are great for that. We have a drone down here just so that this can move out and potentially shoot anything. The spawn are scouting, and we've sort of blocked out our big Ella here so that anything that does charge has to come through the sort of sides, and we can potentially heroic, or we can fight anything that does come through easily. We've got the Land Raider staged quite far back. We don't want this to just be hit and tagged for no reason. It's not going to be that useful until he exposes his tanks with the last cannons and everything like that, so we want to make sure that it's doing its job here. Again, just screening here. The spawn can potentially scout to get a little bit closer to the scouts, but he has put them there, and I think he because they get their scout, he's going to drop backwards behind here. And if he goes first, he can do that, and then I'll move a little bit forward. And then the heavy blight launcher drone is off any sort of angle that it could be shot from here. Same with the Polar, but as soon as this comes out, it's a threat down this angle. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The Death Shroud, a lot of Contagions gone with the unit, and a lot of Villains gone with the unit. Typhus is in the Land Raider with the Lord of Pots this time. I felt that this was going to be better for me to use as sort of my second wave. The 10-man was out in the field because if it did end up making a big charge into me, I wanted to be able to sort of heroic with this unit and potentially use the fight first strat. So it's just these are down to pretty much just dissuade that from happening. And yeah, no, that's. And then for Sam's list, we did have 3 units of JPI, so one just hiding around here. I think another one was just behind this wall, and the other one, I think there was 2 behind here. You had a lot of stuff hidden sort of behind here, so that's fine. The Repulsor had 6 Blade Guard and a small 3-gun of Sanguinary Guard in this one and this one. The 6-man of Sangard was in Deep Strike, and the Blade Guard with the Vice Versa enhancement was down here as well. So these were probably a little bit over. I can't fully remember. Obviously, it's quite difficult to see the other side. But they were just chilling down here to stop me just coming this way. Obviously, anything that gets tapped here, he heroics with the Fight's First unit because of the speed of the Primarch enhancement, and that means that I'm just going to have a bad time. But that was sort of deployment setup. We'll go into first turn. And first turn was rolled off, and Sam went first. So he's not going to expose too much. He does get cleansed and attempting target. So as I say, I think these scouts just sort of come back, and these are 1 inch of the wall just down here, so we're not too fussed about that. I think this repulsor comes up to here. I think he gets an angle onto these blade marines. I can't quite remember, but nothing too crazy. The other repulsor comes up behind it because there's nothing else to do here. Just start the game. So he's just chilling down here. There's nothing else to do. He does advance the File Predator, thinking he could potentially get here, but he can't get enough speed to get over there, so he just ends up plopping it down here. And what else does he do? He puts out one of the JPIs, I think it was. They come and do cleanse, but literally just leaves one guy there. The rest of it's behind the wall. And the same thing for the blade. So the blade guard are doing what they were doing before. They are threatening any sort of charge from me because he's got the enhancement on the dude. I think they just come sort of here. So he's just sort of staging everything. The Combat Lieutenant and the JPI are just against his walls to stop anything coming down here. And yeah, nothing too crazy for the first turn. He does score 10 on the secondaries for the first turn, which is obviously fantastic for him. And he's basically put everything out to tempt me to say, "Yup, come at me, see what we can do." And then we'll move on to my turn 1. So for my turn 1, I forgot that I did actually scout these. They're 6 inches just up behind these guys, and I think I did put the spawn just a little bit closer. Obviously, they weren't going to charge with the scout, so they went up to the wall. And then I drew recover assets and overwhelming force. So I had to try and kill something on a objective if I could, and I had to recover assets. So assets is easy enough, and we've sort of targeted this sort of area. We don't want to deal with any of this stuff at the moment, and we don't want to sort of get charged here, and we don't want to deal with this for now because it would be overextending way too much. So we've got a line onto this repulsor because it did kill, I think, maybe 1 or 2 blade marines, but I can't remember. It wasn't too bad. So what we actually do is we get the spawn to come out there, 8 down here, and they've got their OC on that point. We're going to potentially charge the repulsor, and everything's just going to move out so that we can get an angle onto stuff down here. This sort of pushes out so we can get shots onto it from here. The Land Raider can obviously still see. And what we've sort of realised is there really isn't any point in going for the middle. And we can bring these spawn there, 8 inches over here. And we've got a reasonable charge into the scouts down here. So with 2 scouts, with 2 spawn potentially going into them here, because it was able to sort of put a base there, we'd be able to use the spawn to attack and do enough damage to potentially wipe these scouts out. The Land Raiders got line of sight of the repulsor with blast cannons, and what we do is we move pretty much everything that doesn't have long enough range up here. We leave the 2 light launchers down here, and yeah, everything else just obviously keeps coherency. Everything else is not in range, just those 2. And this drone comes down here because it can see down here as well. So we've got most of our shooting platform to shoot the repulsor, and everything else is just sort of in the midboard, waiting to attack. And we do a lot of damage to the repulsor. I think some las cannons get through, some of the melter gets through, and obviously the drones do quite a good fair chunk of damage. So that was good. It did survive, I think, on it wasn't very many wounds. It might have even been 2 wounds. He used a combination of, he had cover, obviously, and he used AOC, I think, against the Land Raider. And then we had some charges, and we did make both of the charges. So the spawn was able to get into both of them, and then this spawn was also able to come around and make it so that no matter what happened, we would be able to attack, because obviously we'd be able to pile in depending on which way he pulled. So we were happy with that. And we do end up picking up the scout squad, and we do end up popping the repulsor. And that means that we've got the blade guard coming out, and they're on 40mm bases, and this sand guard as well. So we needed to. It was a very tight squeeze, but there was enough space to just about get in all of these guys. So yeah, that does go. And we score our overwhelming force and our assets for whomever did it. I think it was the Poxwalkers and the Tallyman or the other Poxwalkers down here. But yeah, we've managed to sort of keep ourselves reasonably safe with the Poxwalkers here. I think these were a little bit over, just so that if they did charge the Poxwalkers, it is a bit more difficult, but not sort of relevant here. And then obviously we've got the Blade Guard here and the Sand Guard, which are now a big threat to the spawn. But yeah, a pretty good round one.
So on round two now, it's the Blood Angels' turn. The spawn went and did the job up there. They managed to get the one wound they needed on the repulsor, and the other spawn managed to wipe the Scout Squad, which was quite surprising. Well, that's good news for us. We're going to see how hard the Blood Angels hit us now. We're still in -1 to hit, so maybe that'll help us. But yeah, it's going to hurt.
So going into round two, Sam gets behind enemy lines and sabotage, and he decides that he really does not like the Tallyman, so he moves with the Sand Guard unit, how far they go, and then he's gonna get the Tallyman. I think the drone was a little bit further back because he was almost incapable of piling in, but his plan here is to get the Tallyman and pile into the hauler, and then he's also able to do sabotage. I think he's able to do sabotage with one of these units. I think it's the Combi Lieutenant, actually. This sort of all stays here. We've got the Blade Guard, which all come sort of trundling forward. And they're going to sort of multi-charge the spawn, and it's going to use the repulsor to kill off most of this spawn as well. And one of the main things we do is we do bring down the Lord of Contagion. And we've got a 9-inch away, so obviously we're rapidly aggressive in there, and we're going to try and blow up this Battle Predator, because the Battle Predator, I can't remember what it was doing, but there was no point in bringing it out. It wasn't going to be doing anything, so we wanted to hold the objective here as a threat, and then obviously counter-charge with these JPI. And yeah, we did lose the Tallyman, sadly, and the Sand Guard did end up tagging the hauler. I think the spawn... he doesn't end up killing all the spawn, I know that, so I think he kills... I think he does fully kill one unit, but this one still survives. But yeah, so if we look at my round two now, I draw Call the Horde, which I can't do. I get no prisoners and engage on all fronts. So we want to make sure that we can try and score as many points on here, because obviously Sam got a really strong start with the first round and scored another 6 in the second. So we don't want to fall behind on secondary. So this is going to fall back just to put some OC on there. The shooting wasn't going to be relevant here, and we've got the launcher drone to be able to shoot up here. They're 3 wounds, so hopefully we can do enough to damage them. What we are going to try and do is we're going to try and body block the board. So I think these advance up to here, and the same thing with these Poxwalkers. It's the same unit, so they go to just try and stop things from being able to pile through. And come through. I know that this isn't coherent, but this was sort of the plan, and obviously it was at the time. So they were doing that, and then we also decided to bring through the Plague Marines, because they've got a good amount of shooting, and the Flamers and everything like that. So we bring them through, and the Blight Launchers, I think, end up being just here, so that they've still got an angle onto those Sand Guard. These guys move their 5 inches up and have a 4-inch charge into the Battle Predator, because it is against the wall. Land Raider just shuffles up. It's 10 inches. It's redundancy for shooting against there. I can't remember I think the spawn did die. Let's just say it did. I think the Blade Guard were potentially on this side of the wall, so there was a way for me to get shots into them down here as well. And I think this drone just came through. And we do have deep strikes. I think these guys come down over here, because obviously they'll be within 6. And the Lord of Poxers is in the Land Raider. There's no reason to bring him out. And Typhus will score the engage in all fronts, because he can drop down and do his mortals. So what does Typhus do? He drops down about here, I think it is. I can't quite remember whereabouts he drops, but I know he does drop down. And then Sam says, that's cool, I'm going to rapid ingress the big 6-man Vanguard blob down here. So with that, we are able to score some kills onto the Vanguard. I think these get blown up fairly easily because of the 2 drones. We kill enough of the Blade Guard off. There's still a reasonable charge there, and we're going to be able to see it here. The Plague Marines get some shots as well. I think they meant to carry another one. And the main thing that we want to be doing is we want to take out this shot into these guys into here. Load of contagion on this side, and we get all of the attacks into here. And then we were considering whether or not we charge these guys because of the Potswalkers being in an awkward position. It might make him difficult to charge, but it wasn't really something that we were thinking too probably correctly about. So we end up shooting the JPIs, and they do go down to shooting. So it is one less unit, but we now have opened ourselves up to the Blade Guard to be countercharged. So we're hoping that he doesn't kill enough of us that because we can have a fights first strat, we can do enough damage there. We do end up using crit 5s into the Bile Predator, and the Lord of Contagion just completely whiffs. But luckily, we do manage to get enough damage through with the Death Shroud. And these guys do make the charge up here. And I think we kill these down to, I think there's only 1 left in the end. Yeah, and I know that there are some Blade Guard that survive, but I'm not sure exactly how many. But yeah, I think there's only 2 left. So these Death Shroud are pretty much over here now. And that was the end of my turn. So as I say, I did score engage because of the Typhus drop, and I scored max and no prisoners because of killing 1, 2, 3. And I think at this point I got kill more on that round, but obviously now a lot of my forces are now in the middle, waiting to be pounced on by the rest of Sam's stuff. So we'll see how.
So we just finished my round 2. We brought the Death Shroud in up there. They've gone and charged the Blade Guard over there. We managed to kill the Bile Predator here, which was very fortunate because the Lord of Contagion completely whiffed. We killed the Vanguard unit over there. We killed the unit in here with the Plague Marines, and we've killed that. So we managed to get kill more. He's currently got 1 objective, and yeah, we're going to see. I think after the end of this round, it's going to be decided after this. We'll see how much he can do to me.
So going into round 3, the aim here is just to try and stay alive as well as we can. He gets marked for death and extend battle lines, so that's obviously gone boom. He's going to be able to extend battle lines on one of these easily enough. These guys obviously come down here. I think I did consolidate onto the other side of the wall, so they're just here. So those guys have got an unfailable charge, and we've basically got everybody's coming out now. Combat Lieutenant's coming out, and the JPI coming out, and this repulsor, I think, comes over here. It wants to get its OC on the point. I think these might have been this side, because it manages to just about. I think does a 180 or something, and manages to get its thing on the point. It's obviously got shooting angles for here for the Plague Marines. Blade Guard are coming out to play, and I think the JPI as well. I think the JPI might have been down here actually, so I can't remember specifically where, but Typhus, but they've just sort of sprinted out of here as well. And I think that's it. So Sam is pretty much on the board now. These Blade Guard have disadvantage as well. I think these Vanguard have disadvantage. So he wants to be able to hit this Plague Marine brick as hard as he can. They obviously fly over the Potswalkers. So it's going to be a lot of damage going into them. I can't remember if I used the +2 toughness or not. There wasn't a lot of shooting coming my way. Obviously they've got the melters and things like that. but yeah, so I think this Blade Guard actually went into they did. These Blade Guard went in up here to go in against the Death Shroud. There was a question of whether we'd still need the damage down here. But long story short is the Plague Marines all die. But there was a question that was quite a tricky one, is obviously because the Plague Marines can fight first for a CP. I think I only had 2 CP at that point, and it's whether I fight first with Plague Marine squad to try and do enough things and damage over here, or whether I interrupt here with the Lord of Contagion. So these guys do make the charges. These do some impact mold, but don't kill enough. And then these guys get into the fight. And obviously, it's going to be tricky to kill the Sandguard. They're -1 to hit in combat, I believe. These guys absolutely muller the Plague Marines at that time, and it gets the JPIs in for their mortals as well. I don't think this goes as well as hoped. We've got the -1 to hit. So the Blade Guard don't do enough damage into the Death Shroud. I think they maybe kill 2. And I think he does have some in combat with Drew Light Hauler as well. So yeah, that's what's going off over here. And the Sandguard killed most of the Poxwalkers as well. So we do have to try and fight back from this position. So the Lord of Contagion does manage to take out, I think it was around 3 of the Sandguard. We was hoping that he was going to go a bit stronger, but the -1 to hit was in effect there. So we didn't do as well as we thought we might, and I think we lose 2 Death Shroud here. One thing I just realised is it wasn't Typhus that came down that turn, and it was the Spawn that scored me engage over on this side. Yeah, so we've lost the Plague Marines here. We've lost a few Death Shroud down here. And we're looking a bit thin up here, so we definitely need some strong damage back at them. So for my turn, I got Established Locus and Behind Enemy Lines, which is when Typhus does come down, he's able to pop down here and see and be within the enemy lines and potentially do some mortals if I need them. The Land Raider does come along. This doesn't look quite right because the Land Raider was able to get to OC. I think they were all up there and there. And the Land Raider just come through and he's able to pivot just to put his bum on there. The Fly Launcher Drone was able to move up to get sort of the angle over there, as well as the same thing up here. Again, we're better off shooting than we are, but we're better off falling back than we were shooting. So we can do that. And yeah, with Established Locus and Behind Enemy Lines, obviously Typhus is going to score both of them for us. It's a question of if we come further back for these guys to potentially interact with, but we want to try and kill as many Sandguard as we can, I think. So yeah, we do end up picking also we've got the Lord of Poxers unit. They're going to come out and they're going to try and hit things as hard as we can. So the main goal here is going to try and clear off most of the things from the point here. And we've got the Lord of Poxers and the shooting from the Land Raider, and everything's going to Blade Guard. And I think we put everything from the Blight Launcher, Heavy Blight Launcher, into these Sandguard, and these Sandguard get picked up. We kill enough of the Blade Guard that it isn't that much of a problem. And I think the JPI go down to some shooting. There wasn't a whole lot. I think the plasmas all went into here. We got damage 2 from the Plague Marine unit, and we managed to kill most of those. So we've got a charge into the Chaplain, who still has the fights first, and we do that. I think we declare both, and yeah, it doesn't go well for us. They do a lot of damage, and it kills pretty much most of the unit, which isn't good. And the Blade Guard, they went down, and I think the Spawn is now dead. I can't quite remember what the Spawn. And then we charge to get the OC on the point here, and then down here we weather the storm from the Sandguard, and just about, and then we end up killing them back this time with the Lord of Contagion. And we've just got these guys left, and these guys will survive that. So yeah, we've managed to kill enough back, but it's still in a dangerous position, and it's still a very close game at this point, so no challenger cards. But obviously we still got the repulsor up here. The Lord of Violence is still alive, and we've still got the 2 annoying units of Blade Guard. So yeah, we'll go into round 4. One other thing that we did do is we brought these forward because they were going to be helpful later on in the game, and I think these guys, all the deep strikes were down, so we won't bother about these. And going into turn 4, Sam got Defend Stronghold, Overwhelming Force. There's no real way that I can interact with that over here. So these guys all came out to potentially try and pop shot Typhus. I think they do a few wounds. Overforce, I think he does get because he kills the unit of the Death Shroud, and he kills the drone, and he finally kills the Lord of Virulence. So yeah, those guys are left sort of around there, and I think that guy died, and so did the Blade Guard. So he manages to get Overforce, and he manages to get Storm hostile. I think there was a question of whether the Repulsor could land its OC on here. I don't think it could because of the 3-inch wall here. So it ends up staying there. And then going into my turn 4, I got a bit let down with the cards. I got Storm hostile and Attempted Target. I think Attempted Target was down here. And we figured out that even if I'd fell back the drone again and tried to advance the Poxwalkers, there wasn't enough space to get them all on to take the OC off of it. So the other thing we were going to try and do was obviously try and shoot the Repulsor, but with AOC, that's going to be dangerous. The Lord of Poxers fell back from combat, and the Lord of Contagion ends up killing the rest of these guys. I think this was in combat, or yeah, this went and shot downtown. I think we killed the other Blade Guard, and the Land Raider tried to shoot everything off the Repulsor, but nothing particularly great. And then Typhus goes over to help out the Lord of Contagion. I think he ends up making the charge down there. So this side of the board is fine now. We're happy with this side of the board. And in terms of the primary, it's still running very close. I think Sam managed to get killed more in one of the rounds, so I need to make sure that I'm still holding more. And the Rhino's OC5, the Land Raider's OC5 is enough to sort of secure that in the middle. And then we're going into turn 5, and Sam gets Secure No Man's Land and Display of Might. I think there's enough remnants of his team to think that he's going to be able to do Display of Might, and it comes down to, I think there's some shots, but the main thing that happens here is the Chaplain charges the Lord of Poxers. I think these guys might shoot him as well, and he manages to live on 1 wound, and because of that, the Lord of Poxers is able to fight back, and he actually ends up killing the Chaplain in response. So this one with Lord of Poxers ends up swinging the Gilmore for the round, and also stops the Display of Might, because I still got the Poxwalkers, the Hauler, the Land Raider, the Drone, and Typhus and Lord Contagion, and he had that, whereas if he killed the Lord of Poxers, he would have got killed more. And then at that point we realise I just need 2 good secondaries, and I get Assassination, and at that point I think all of the characters are dead, so that's an easy 5 points. And Sabotage I can do with Typhus by just coming back here, or the drone, or whatever it is we end up doing. But yeah, there was a lot of really close points in this game. I had an absolute blast playing Sam. I think this was probably the final battle between the Chaplain and the Lord of Poxers, and the Lord of Poxers managed to win that day. The -1 to hit was a big factor in this matchup. We weren't able to proc the final ingredient, but we had to use the Plague Marines as sort of the bait in the middle. And yeah, it was a really fun game and another victory. So 2-0 at the event. And yeah, it's been a really fun day so far. And that was round 2 in the books. We did manage to eke out the win at the end, so it was a very closely fought game and an excellent time had with Sam. Looking at the scores here, we did score the same amount of points on secondaries, and it was just the primary in the end. I managed to match the primary. That final turn of swinging the kill more was probably sort of instrumental to that, so managed to get the win. It's a fantastic result going into the next game, and the hopes of the 3-0 for this Saturday is very much on. But I'd like to say thank you again for the game. It was very enjoyable. A couple of things to highlight was we were in the -1 to hit contagion, but at the point, I think it was the round 4, there was a point where switching to the OC would deny a primary for him and potentially score a primary for me. We did switch at that point. There's obviously the risk there that his things become more deadly. But I think it was at that point where we've killed enough of his things that we're obviously going to lose what we're going to lose, but we should be able to still have enough things left towards the end to out-OC and score the primary. So that's something that's obviously you can do in the Champions Contagion, start the battle round. Whenever you can get that primary swing, I am finding myself more and more switching to that because it is extremely helpful and can be something to win you the game. So that was it. Thanks everybody for watching this bat rep. Hope you did enjoy it. Look out for the next ones. I know it's taken a while to get through these, but it has been extremely hot in the UK over the weekend, and don't want to be sat in front of my computer when that's the temperature that they are. So I'm going to try and get round 3 up soon, as well as round 4 and 5. And yeah, thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe if you are enjoying, and I'll see you all soon.